Yes.
Hello, Damo.
Hello, Jackie boy. Good
to see you.
Yeah, it's been a while. Been a while.
Platforms.
And Dangerous and Bill.
Yeah. Platform. Do you feel like you got a lot of hair in this room?
In this room, I do.
Bloody hell. Even with that stupid island.
It's an old-fashioned Patrick Swayze look compared to what the other guys in this room have.
Oh, don't
All right.
And I've got none. I've got none
All right.
myself, Bill, as you
No,
keep
you-
reminding me to have for 15 years.
But it's still there.
Yeah,
Just hanging on.
it's as,
We will
uh,
get to the positives.
It's as sparse though as the SCG grass, isn't it, Jack?
Yes.
Oh,
What's
what's
going
going
on
on?
there? I was
No, it's
there
a
on
problem.
Friday night.
Yeah.
That was a major issue.
And you're onto it early too when you call, weren't you? You could tell it was bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it
and-
wasn't the players involved in the ball. It was 20, 30, 40 metres off that was setting up to run or lead.
Yeah,
falling over.
It was unacceptable and unsafe.
Bloody
and I liked how Justin Longmuir, the coach of the Dockers, last night post-match did actually use that word himself. He said, I don't often go there, but in an assessment point of view, he said it was unsafe. And look, as we talk today at Monday afternoon, the game is scheduled, the Dockers to play the Swans on Sunday afternoon, but a lot has to happen for that to be signed off on.
So, obvious question. How does it get signed off in the first place? Like, what's the process before a game?
Yep.
Before they decide that they can play on a surface?
Do the AFL walk the ground?
Bill, I've looked into these types
Yes,
of
I know
issues
you
for the
have.
best part of 25 years. There is not an official ground inspection where they tick every single box. The players have a captain's run, as we know. If there's a visiting team coming to the Sydney, they'll have a run on it. And look, clubs have done that and expressed concerns, but they still play the game. Ironically, up there, it used to be the Homebush Stadium that used to
Yeah.
be the regular
Yes.
source of these
Yeah,
types
that's
of
right.
stories. And now it's the SCG, which was always relatively okay.
But in the racing industry, the jockeys go out and walk the track, don't they? If it's a bit
Yeah.
damaged or slippery, then they've got the power to call it. And we've seen it
I've
called
seen it
off
regularly, particularly in the provincial meetings in
Called
even
off
recent weeks.
in
Yeah.
mid races.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, it doesn't have. The AFL has sent its turf experts to Sydney. I'll see how that unfolds. But the Fremantle will want assurances that it's going to be nothing like what it was. And Bill, as we discussed on the Saturday rub, you've got to the bottom of why this SCG surface is the way it is, haven't you?
Well, we have. We've been talking about it since the start of the year.
You're onto it early, Bill.
Special investigation.
Yes, Andre Bontempelli. Yeah, and this is it. He's a beautiful singer. Beautiful voice.
But it just has not recovered from
That
that. The Brisbane
happened
play,
in
that was
March.
it was in March. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it just has not recovered, and the most recent offering was the worst. Tom Lynch, again, we have to time code this. Obviously, we're talking live at 4:17. If you're listening to it on catch up, you'll probably know the outcome of the match review office findings against Tom,
Listen
won't
to
you?
him. He doesn't like to get it wrong, really.
No, it's just...
Yeah.
He'll just make
What will he
sure.
get? What do you think?
Well, my take on it is, Bill, there's a couple of incidents that I've seen this year. Justin McInerney, when he made contact with Brandon Starcevic early in the season, and there's another
Nothing
one
on
that
that.
I look at where Jackson Archer made contact with Luke Cleary. Now, to me, I raise both of those moments, Bill, because they were worthy of 3-match bans for those players. And if you recall, if you can, they were both football incidents.
Yeah,
football
they
moments.
were.
I'm raising that in the context to what happened with Tommy Lynch. That wasn't a football incident, and therefore I feel it needs to be more than 3 as a starting point, and maybe just because it's so unusual in 2025 to see it, maybe 5 weeks. Yeah.
It was a real sort of like, got to get the boy off areas.
It actually was.
It was frustration.
You could
wasn't
see it coming for about 15 minutes.
And that's the point, yeah. And look, in a footy context, I just feel he looked like an older, angry man, unable to deal with his current lot in footy. And that's not the leadership that Richmond Footy Club wants or needs right now. They've almost fallen off the edge.
Yep.
They've got still 8 matches remaining, and they need every bit of seniority they've got. They're not going to have him for some weeks. We'll probably know, Jack, before you're off air today, what length of time he's going to be sidelined for. And just one more before we get to the positives, Bill. Yes. On this show and other shows on Triple M, we have been saying for some time that Graham Wright will be taking over earlier than initially planned from Brian Cook as CEO of the Carlton Footy Club.
A brag artist for you here, which is coming up shortly.
An early one.
Don't ring now. But you did say, I reckon, 6-7 weeks ago that Graham will be coming and sitting in Cookie's chair very shortly.
Yeah, and I think you'll find Billy's actually already there, and he's
in
there
his
now.
chair.
Well,
Where's
they've
Cookie?
Identified. No, Cookie's still there, and he's still there until officially until
He's
October
got the
4.
little chair over there.
But he's not on the hook for change, and Graham Wright now is. And Graham Wright, as I keep saying, is a person who is going to make change. And initially, the way I look at it, it will be on the playing list. And while obviously the then focus goes to the coach, Michael Voss, who is contracted for next year, that's going to be, in my mind anyway, pushed down the path a little bit. It'll be, I think, Graham Wright's priority to look at what he can do, like he did at Collingwood, or at least oversaw at Collingwood when he got out of the club Brodie Grundy and Adam Treloar in contract on good money in order to then bring some other people in, bring a fresh look in, and look what happened there. So, and the other, I suppose, memory point out of all of that is too, he initially identified Sam Mitchell as Nathan Buckley's replacement before Mitchell then stayed at Hawthorn, and that blew Hawthorn Footy Club up. And then when he had to go to Plan B, he went and got and executed that well with Craig McRae as well. So I just raise all that. Their form on the board, Bill. Yeah, it says he's going to make change and that he's going to be successful.
If they get belted on Friday night, they've got Collingwood at the MCG, who are flying at the moment, the Pies. If it's a heavy loss, Damo, could it speed some of these other things up?
I doubt it, Jack. I feel clubs that make decisions on coaching futures, even with 7 weeks to go, as it would be after this weekend upcoming, it only makes matters worse. You're then forced to install an interim coach who rightly at that moment thinks he's a chance as well. That just clouds, I think, and muddies the waters with what the big decision is going to be. So history says to me the interim coach move late in the season does not work. It only actually makes it worse. If you can just nurse it through to the line, you can then take a breath and have a look.
Okay, we might take a break and then you can come back with positives and negatives.
Yes, mostly positives, Bill, because you like me to be positive.
Because you're a very positive man.
I'm trying to be.
Have we got a bus this week as well?
Yeah, we do it at the end of the next segment.
Looking forward to that.
Come on, Damo. Positives.
All the good stuff, Damo.
Right, let's start with a 19-year-old Bill by the name of Joel Frazier as the number one positive out of round 16, because what he did on Friday night was a continuation of a very good season that he and the Western Bulldogs are putting together. And I felt he was a standout best of field with those 4 goals that he kicked at the key times when the Swans were coming back hard into the game. And yeah, I just loved what he's done. I loved how he's just showing a maturity way beyond the birth date.
And he's big, Bill. When you see him up close, like he's 193, 194.
Has he hunched shoulders, isn't he?
I'll look for that.
I know what
now.
you mean by saying that.
It,
but he plays with an authority, doesn't he? And he wants the footy. He wants, and he not just as wants it, but he wants to take the big moments and he
kick goals.
Executes. Yeah.
So he got 10 coaches' votes.
He did he? Yeah. I was surprised if he didn't. He was great. So I thought he was the main thing. I loved Matty Rell's first game after recommitting publicly to the Gold Coast Suns for Melbourne.
I haven't seen it.
Are you sure?
Were you there, Damien?
This dominated last Monday, Jack,
Yes,
just to
I
fill
was
you in here.
listening,
There were 3 really good journos who went with the story that previous weekend that Matt Rell had committed
and
or
then
recommitted
one
to this.
not so good journo.
And Bill decided to throw some shade on that. And anyway, he has officially re-signed and he's officially playing great footy because he was really good again, wasn't he, on the weekend against Melbourne. So I thought he stood up the whole game and it allowed them to get off to that great start as well.
And he was great. But what about Jake Melcham? They both got 9.
Yeah.
5 goals,
5,
6.
6.
And was like Tony Lockett. He's up there. He's had a bloody good year. Another old player that's doing well.
Yeah, and a
needed it.
rare good element of the Melbourne forward line this year too, isn't it? I mean, you just know what you get with him. He's smart. He can play a bit like Jamie Elliott, taller than his body would suggest.
Small.
And he's covering for a lot of other problems at that footy club.
Well done, Jake.
Speaking of goal kickers, Bill, over the weekend, the Jack Gunston story just gets better, doesn't
How
it?
old's he?
He'd be 33
Another
or 4,
old
I think,
boy
wouldn't
doing
he?
well.
It wasn't that long ago. So he went to Brisbane for that year, Damo, and it didn't work. And he's been on the record and said that it didn't work, but he had a lot going on at the time.
Yeah.
I remember some people scoffed and said, why are Hawthorn getting Jack Gunston back?
Well, Jack, I don't think it's a stretch to even feel, and I don't say this lightly, that Hawthorn, really, how's this going to work, given where they were at that point?
Spot on.
Having said all of that, they let him back in, and they knew that he went to Brisbane for the personal reasons that were attached to that exit, and they wanted it to work, and they invested in it, and they allowed him to be as he was, and equally, he has now repaid them, I think, immensely with what he did last year, but arguably more this year with the holes they've had up forward. We saw Mitch Lewis return. That's another positive out of the weekend from the VFL, so he might be a week or two away from Marbio Chola, the 5 goals he kicked. And Nick Watson's game too, again, you might want to put a little bit of a caveat on it, given it was against a demoralised North Melbourne. That was pre-round 7 North Melbourne performance. But he did have some really good moments, Bill, in the middle of the ground, and that's where he is going to take his football, as clearly. Miles Bergman's a good story too. Cal Toomey, AFL.com.au, reporting only a few moments ago that he's going to reject the offers that are coming thick and have been coming thick and fast from Melbourne. So good news for Port Adelaide there.
Staying at Port Adelaide.
Yeah,
wow,
that's what he reported last night. And he's written that only a few moments ago. And he was outstanding against Carlton way back on Thursday night, but it's a big positive out of the round, as was Luke Jackson's form in the last quarter for the Dockers against St Kilda yesterday.
You know what was good about that? Sean Darcy also played and played well. So
in that last quarter,
they both played well, which was good
I'm really
for Freo.
glad just to see how this works. Finally, Darcy seems to be able to get some matches together with the body, and I've always wanted to judge this tandem operation with that in play, and I think we're just starting to see it, Bill. They were both really good against Cherry 3 weeks ago, and they were both really good last quarter last night.
And Jordan Clark, well done to him. He's got to be All-Australian halfback flank, doesn't he?
There's a few people in that space. I think even Nasiah Wagner-Miller, who was good again yesterday, I thought, for the Saints. I think and even Sinclair from the same team. But yeah, you're right though, Bill. Clark was good the whole game, and only Jackson was great late. Continue with a couple more positives.
Yes, there's a lot of them, Damo.
Yeah, there are. Good. Dan Curtin and Max Michaelani, two younger guns at the Adelaide Crows, both kicked goals on the weekend. Michaelani played the shutdown role on Nick Floston. It was a 3. Yeah, kick 3. And it only had one goal to his name prior to the game in his career. So great. I mean, he's a talent. We've known that. He's now got layers to it. And the evolution of Dan Curtin, it's still a massive work in progress, but it's going beautifully. And then you go from those two young guns to the oldest player in the comp at 37 in Scotty Pendlebury, who was best on ground against West Coast on Saturday night and just continually finds time and space when no one else can.
There's something in it. All the old boys playing good footy.
Dane Swan's going to join us next hour. I'd be interested to hear what he thinks about that, because it's not just Scott Pendlebury. He's still Sidebottom's had a really, really good year.
Great year.
And Jeremy Howe's, I think his first 4 or 5 weeks a bit slow to get going, but since then he's been fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to go, Jeremy Cameron's in that later stage of his life, and he's flying as well. I mean, he's leading the Coleman quite comfortably still. So
Maxie
Gawn's having
Jack
another
Gunston
good year.
that we're just talking about. Yeah.
A few negatives with time.
Oh, yeah. We like the negatives from Damo.
Well, we touched on North. That was back to their previous worst form, the way they played against Hawthorn on Saturday. And the problem they've now got is to regroup with a few banged-up players, including the unavailable George Wardlaw, who has now copped a third concussion inside 12 months.
Bit of a worry, that, isn't it?
It was round 16 in a training incident last year that he copped one, and it's obviously round 16 just gone this year on ground. But he also copped another one late last year after that first one, or had another moment of concussion, I should say. I think it was delayed symptoms, but that's 3 ultimately inside 12 months.
There wasn't a lot in it. Connor Nash just stood there. Yeah. He kind of ran into him. There wasn't a lot in it.
They've been cautious, Bill, but you have to
Fair
be.
enough.
And we are now looking at a number of 3 attached to his name when it comes to those moments in a short career.
Do you put him on ice for the rest of the year, Damo? I mean, there's nothing to gain out of this for North Melbourne. Do you just give him the rest of the year off to get himself right?
He's only played 35 games, Jack, in the time he's been in the game, and I don't see any great. If you clear him, obviously it needs to be cleared medically. But if he's cleared, play him.
Sure.
Yeah, I think the more pertinent point to where he's at with his footy is to start looking after his head, because he does go in so fearlessly. He's in the elite when it comes to that.
They'd be trying to do that surely at training.
You'd think so,
but he'll see ball and try and get ball.
And that's the problem.
Exactly.
Yeah, look, Joel Selwood curtailed his ways, didn't he? After a similar, I think, early start to his career. So you can do it, and then you can still be aggressive as you can. Richmond's a major problem now. I mean, they've actually been good, or were good for half a season, but the bottom has fallen out. And in their last 20 quarters, 10 of those 20 quarters, they've either kicked no goals or 1 goal. So that's from their last 5 games. So they're just having extended periods of time where they're just not impacting, and that's a problem. And obviously, you now add the Tom Lynch situation to where they're at. Melbourne's a mess, I think. I think they've probably been fortunate that Carlton's a bigger mess. Otherwise, the scrutiny may have even been on them harder.
5 games they've won.
Yeah,
5 games, Damo.
Yeah. And there's a sameness to them, Bill, despite all the off-season narratives. Carlton, I don't know what else we can say about them, but the fortnight they've had, North Melbourne last week, Port Adelaide this week, and then, as we touched a few moments ago, Jack, Collingwood this week, and then after that, Brisbane Lions.
Goodness.
So it's really, really messy. And
the Bombers,
the other losers.
What happened to the Bombers on Saturday?
Even on a bye, we're talking about them in a negative sense.
3 blokes went down with injury
at training.
Who were
Darcy
previously sore.
Langford, quad, which is a worry, and Mason Redmond.
Yeah.
So they've got a lot of soft tissue.
And they were hopeful that trio would come back for the back half or the back part of the season, but now they'll stay on that injury list. It's already got Zach Reed on it. It's already got
Draper's
Brian, out, and
it's unbelievable injury list, isn't it?
Yeah. So we might send
Draper
the bus.
was at a country footy game in South Australia on the weekend.
Was he?
Bloke sent me a photo of him just sitting behind the goals on the fence,
Having a beer.
Oh, they had a slab there. No, I'm not sure. I didn't see that. The bus, please. Here we go. We got the old bus. Have a listen to it.
It's back. Fire it up. It's back.
Oh, no.
We've refrained from doing it to this point of the season for obvious reasons, but I think it needs to go down there with 8 rounds remaining to Punt Road.
Oh.
It needs to get back down there.
It's left Carlton. Don't tell me it's left Icon Park.
Well, it's just permanently there. That's the one that's on blocks.
Righto.
Yeah, that one's on blocks. But the one at Richmond, I just think they just need to it needs to have a little look at what's going on there because there's still 8 weeks left, and the last 4 have been dreadful.
Right.
And didn't come back from the bye well, did
No.
they? That was maybe the thing is they were a bit tired leading into the bye that they'd come back the other side of it.
We understand it, and we know where they're at as a footy club. But when you've got one of your leaders, Tom Lynch, making haymakers, not ideal.
No, not good. Well done, Damo. Nice work.
I think you're
Good
Damien.
to see you, Jackie boy.
It's good to see
I'll
you.
see you, Damien.
I'll see you, Ian.
Good night.
Dangerous.
Good night,
Good night, Phil.
Damien Barrett. It's the Rush Hour on Triple M.